So our lead this hour is from the sunrise, not the sunset, the sunrise. That's right, another rare and appropriate hockey monologue. Do not get used to this. Do not get used to this. I'm telling you, do not get used to it. But about 37 miles away from downtown Miami and just a short drive away from FSR alumni legend, the amazing Vladimir, who used to be my engineer. He lives in Miami, the great, amazing Vladimir. So on the edge of the Florida Everglades right there, that was the frozen sandbox game number 4 of the Stanley Cup Final. Look, we got our own button there. The Panthers, as you know, because you're a good hockey fan, looking to take a commanding 3-1 lead over the Oilers. Were you watching? I've seen the ratings. You were not watching. I know you weren't watching. Don't lie to me. You were not watching. I watched for you. It's our public service. It's our good mitzvah. So the game went to overtime, and Leon Draisaitl lit the lamp, game winner in the overtime, and Edmonton. Oh, Canada. Edmonton beats Florida 5-4 in Game 4, Stanley Cup Final, on a random Thursday night in June. So that series tied up 2-2. They erased a not 1, not 2, but 3-goal deficit. They were down 3-0 at the end of the first period. They bounced back, and they did allow a late game-tying goal. But the Oilers, who took the lead for the first time, Jake Wallman scoring the goal with 6:24 left in the third period. But then it was Sam Reinhart. Boy, you talk about a dagger. With less than 20 seconds to go on the clock, he sent the game to overtime. And that means now, if you're keeping score, and I know you're not, 3 of the first 4 games of this final have gone to bonus time to settle the outcome. And that's the first time that has happened in over a decade. You got to go back to 2013. It's 5th time in NHL history. The game winner by Draisaitl, 11:18 into the overtime, and everyone gets on a plane, a chartered flight, and flies back to Western Canada, all even up. Game 5 of a back and forth dueling piano matchup will be on Saturday, and that is a night that we do not get in here. Now, we do the podcast on the weekend, but we don't do live radio on the weekend, so I'll be watching, but I will not be bloviating about that. But the better story is in the losing locker room. So let us discuss the question. Who gets the finger of blame and shame for the Florida Panthers in this one? So my thoughts on this, I've got Ronco, Showtime Rotisserie, Oxygen, and Peacock. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make some donuts. Some delicious donuts so everyone can enjoy a nice sweet. All right, so I'm going to approach this like a classic game show, The Price is Right. So when you ask the question, who gets the finger of blame and shame for the Florida Panthers, my answer is The Price is Right. Sergei Bobrovsky, come on down. It was like a TED Talk gone bad. And this is why we point out that stats tell you what has happened, not what's going to happen, right? And this is like a TED Talk that just kind of went sideways. When you break these teams down, even if you're a novice hockey person, you will say, this is a strength over here, this is a weakness over here, and you said, well, there's no way that a team as good as Florida at home will be spotted a 3-0 lead and blow that game. In fact, it had never happened before. That's why they play the games. The Florida franchise, not a elite franchise, not a popular franchise nationally, but the Panthers had never, ever puked up a 3-0 lead in the postseason, entering the game. In fact, teams were 37-0 when leading in the Stanley Cup Final. 37-0 when leading in the Stanley Cup Final by 3 or more goals in the first period, and now it is 37-1. You can forget that stat, and Bobrovsky was supposed to be the cream of the crop, head and shoulders above all the rest in net. So good, he was like a Ron Popeil, Ronco Showtime rotisserie infomercial back in the day. Set it and forget it. And he started out the game fine. The game was pretty much dominated by Florida in the beginning. That's how you get 3-0 lead. But Bobrovsky, 7 for 7 in saves. Not that many shots by Edmonton in the first period. And so after that, don't ask, don't tell, right? Well, we will tell because it's talk radio. Edmonton scored not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, 5 goals on the next 28 shots. Now, my computer-like brain tells me, using MALLER math, that Bobrovsky, after the first period, from that point in the game, so second period, third period, and overtime, Bobrovsky had a save percentage of about 82%. Now, I didn't play in the NHL, and I just host an overnight talk show. That blows. Okay, that blows. Bobrovsky, for some reason, thought he was the pilot, and he wanted to fly, and he ended up flying the Vomit Comet. The Florida offense also, I mean, we can go on and on. There's other people. Suspended animation, three-goal lead. They only got one kind of fluky late goal, as we mentioned there, with less than 20 seconds to go to force the overtime. Now, the other part of this here, as we do our in-depth breakdown that nobody else has on Stanley Cup Final game number 4. So what does that outcome for Edmonton, what does that do for Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and the Oilers? So the first thing is rather obvious. I jotted this down on my notes app on my iPhone, is that it gives them oxygen. It allows them to take a step back and kind of take a deep breath here. And they were about to go on life support. They were trying to get a hold of some members of the clergy to come in there and give last rites to the Oilers had they lost that game. But you're down 3 goals with 20 minutes gone, 40 minutes to go, and then you end up winning in overtime. It had Stanford band vibes. It had Stanford band vibes. One of the most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling comebacks, blah, 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 blah. So the Oilers, to put it into context here, the Oilers are the first, well, the second team, but the first team in over 100 years to do that on the road, to overcome a 3-goal deficit in the Stanley Cup Final to win. The only other time it happened was when no one was watching, and the Montreal Canadiens, the Habs, got it done back in 1919, back in the day in Game 3. Now, this is also a refresher course. Now, what do I mean by that? A refresher course. So if you've listened to this show for some time, we used to have a caller, regular caller. I love this guy. I thought he was one of the great callers on the show, and we lost him to the dreaded day shift, Uncle Mo. Now, Uncle Mo is a radio caller in Brooklyn. Uncle Mo in sports doesn't exist, right? Does not exist. And this is a textbook example, and it verifies that long-standing belief that I've had. Because the Panthers, if you follow the logic, this simpleton logic of momentum, the hockey team from Florida had all the momentum. Man, all of it. Right? 3-0 lead at home, better goaltender. You got it. High choke factor for Edmonton. You got everything in your favor. They had all the momentum. Why would they lose? They can't lose. They had all the momentum. Why would they give the momentum up? Because it doesn't exist. That's why. Now, more impressive, the lion's share of the comeback was by the flotsam and jetsam of that hockey team. And it was not the Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl that did the heavy lifting for the bulk of the comeback. And the game winner, yeah, went to Draisaitl and all that, but the other 4 goals were not scored by McDavid or Draisaitl. And then you had Stuart Skinner. There was this debate among the hockey people, and they were like, well, should this guy start because he kind of sucked the last game? Should Stuart Skinner be in goal? And then it's like, well, you gotta dance with the one that you brought to the dance. And so they brought Stuart Skinner in. They started him. And then in the first intermission, the coach there, this guy Knobloch, not Chuck Knobloch, Chris Knobloch, he sent Skinner to Siberia, a one-way ticket to Siberia, and said, get out of here. And said, well, it's better late than never, but we suck, and we need a change. And so they went to the backup, somebody named Calvin Pickard. It sounds like a guy who would try to sell you something knocking on your door, say, I got a bag of crap, you want to buy something here. But Calvin Pickard, just a journeyman goaltender, bounced all over the place, and he came off the bench. He faced 23 shots, stopped all but one of them, including, if you watch the overtime, there was one of those like deep breath moments where Sam Bennett should have won the game, could have won the game, but didn't win the game because of the save there by Pickard. All right, now, last word here. So turning the page, you've got Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Ta-da! They made a surprise appearance. OMG. OMG. Now, this became a trending topic. You know how hard it is to get hockey to be a trending topic on social media? It's just almost impossible. But there they were. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce making an unexpected appearance at Stanley Cup Final, game number 4. Is this a big deal, a little deal, or no deal? So on the MALLER scorecard, which is the scorecard of record, it is not a big deal. It is not a little deal. It is not no deal. It is a massive flex is what it is, right? It is pump your chest out because Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce commandeered the night, all right? And the NHL in general has this, aw shucks, man, we're not as popular as the other sports kind of mindset. But the brass at the NHL on this night can strut around like a peacock, right? They can have their feathers in the air everywhere. And you go to the side-by-side. The NBA, which is built on star power, pro bouncy ball, star power, celebrities, all the cool kids love the NBA. And the biggest stars to attend the NBA Finals this year are Adam Silver and Meta World Peace. Period, hard stop. So Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce having, I don't know, was it a date night at a hockey game? I don't know what they were doing. They were futzing around there. But that star power, that overshadowed the hockey. And, they kept cutting away there. There was a media frenzy, a social media frenzy. And so forget hockey night. It's a Swiftie night. And constant cutaways from the ice, TNT treating this like a concert tour stop for Taylor Swift. She had an unexpected concert there. And I guess they've been staying down there in the Miami area this last couple of months. Not that I knew that prior to reading a story in the tabloids about it, like why are they there, but apparently they're there. Anyway, and they obviously were there. I mean, unless that was a deep fake, they were there.